Here I am back with yet another episode of Science Classes. Today I will discuss one of the most important topic of Class 10 Biology, that is the respiration. So let's get started. After hearing the topic, the first and the foremost question that might have struck in your mind is, what is respiration? I hope this is not the first time you are hearing it. All of you might be quite familiar to this word. So let's discuss it in details. Respiration is the process in which the food is oxidized in presence of oxygen to release carbon dioxide, water and energy. So this is the definition of the respiration. The equation of the respiration is written in the slide. You can pause the video to see it clearly, where the food reacts with the oxygen to produce carbon dioxide, water and energy. As we have learned earlier that the digested food is assimilated into the body of the living organism. There are the two main purposes of the assimilation of the food. Number one is to provide energy for various life processes, and number two is to use the food material for the growth and the repair of the body. Here we will not discuss the second purpose, but we will discuss the first purpose, that is the respiration. So the respiration is essential for life because it provides energy for carrying out all the life processes which are necessary to keep the organisms alive. The whole process of respiration actually takes place inside the cell of the living organism, so it is known as the cellular respiration. The process of cellular respiration is common to all the living organisms. It provides energy to the cells. There are two byproducts of cellular respiration, that is the carbon dioxide and water. Out of this, only carbon dioxide is considered the real waste product of respiration because its accumulation in the body is harmful to the organism. Water produced during respiration is not harmful to the body. It is rather beneficial for the body. Since the food, that is the glucose, provides energy to the organism to survive, that's why food is regarded as the fuel of the organisms. That's why we should not waste food. We should understand the importance of food. Without food, we cannot live. Another important question is that, is breathing and respiration same? No, they aren't same. Actually, most of us have misconception that the breathing and respiration are the same, but they aren't. Breathing is a physical process, but respiration is a chemical process. Breathing is a process in which an organism simply obtains oxygen from the air and releases carbon dioxide into the air. On the other hand, the respiration is a much more complex process in which it includes the breathing as well as the oxidation of the food, which takes place inside the cell of the organism to release energy. It takes the help of the oxygen to burn the food and releases energy, carbon dioxide and water. Now I hope that it is clear that the breathing and the respiration are not the same process. They are quite different from each other. Now let's come to the types of the respiration. Basically, there are two types of respiration, the aerobic respiration and the anaerobic respiration. This division is made on the basis of the oxidation of food either in the presence of oxygen or in the absence of oxygen. Let's move on to the next slide to learn more about aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Let us first discuss about aerobic respiration. The respiration which is carried out in presence of oxygen is called aerobic respiration. Aerobic means with air. In this respiration, glucose is completely broken down to release carbon dioxide, water and energy in the form of ATP. ATP means adenosine triphosphate, which is energy molecule. This aerobic respiration takes place in the mitochondria of the cell. The breaking down of glucose during aerobic respiration is represented in this slide. You can pause the video to see it. The glucose, which is one molecule, by the process of glycolysis in the cytoplasm is converted into pyruvate, which is two molecules. It is also known as pyruvic acid. Then it is converted into carbon dioxide, water, and 38 molecules of ATP in mitochondria, and this process is known as the Krebs cycle. But we will not discuss about the Krebs cycle in this class. You will get in the higher class in details about the Krebs cycle. So all the organisms which obtain energy by aerobic respiration cannot live without oxygen. This is because if there is no oxygen, they cannot get energy from the food which they eat. Examples of organisms which perform aerobic respiration are human, dogs, cats, lion, elephant, cows, buffaloes, goat, deer, birds, lizards, snakes, earthworm, frogs, fishes, etc. Now let's come to the anaerobic respiration. The respiration which is carried out without oxygen is called the anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic means without air. This type of the respiration can be seen in most of the microscopic organisms like yeast and some bacteria. In anaerobic respiration, the microorganisms like yeast break down glucose into ethanol and carbon dioxide and releases energy. But in this type of respiration, the less amount of the energy is released as compared to the aerobic respiration. It takes place in the cytoplasm of the cells. The breaking down of glucose during anaerobic respiration is represented in this slide. You can also look at it by pausing the video. Here you can see glucose, which is one molecule, by the process of glycolysis in cytoplasm is first converted into pyruvate, which is two molecules. Then in the absence of oxygen, in case of yeast, which is the process is called fermentation, pyruvate is converted into ethanol, carbon dioxide and 2 ATP energy molecules. From the above discussion, it is clear that all the cells do not need oxygen to produce energy. There are some unicellular organism, which can produce energy without using the oxygen. Fermentation of sugar with the help of yeast is an example of anaerobic respiration. There is another type of anaerobic respiration which we will see in the next slide. As we know that the human being obtain energy by aerobic respiration, but in certain cases the anaerobic respiration also may take place. For example, during a vigorous physical exercise in the muscle cell of human being, the anaerobic respiration may take place because of the lack of the oxygen. And during this process, lactic acid and energy is produced. The accumulation of lactic acid in the muscles causes muscle cramps. It also takes place in the muscle of the other animals also. See how this molecule of glucose breaks down. First, the molecule of glucose breaks down in cytoplasm by the process of glycolysis into the pyruvate. And this pyruvate in the muscle cell, in the lack of oxygen, is converted into 2 lactic acid and 2 ATP energy molecules. So, since it is an anaerobic respiration, so amount of energy released is much more less than the energy released during the aerobic respiration. Please note that the anaerobic respiration in plant like yeast produces ethanol and carbon dioxide as end products, whereas the anaerobic respiration in animal muscle tissue produces lactic acid as the end product. Let's see the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration in the next slide. As you can see that I have mentioned the differences between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration in this slide. Either you can take the screenshot or write it in your copy by pausing the video. Here you can see the first difference is that the aerobic respiration takes place in presence of oxygen, whereas anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. In the aerobic respiration, complete breakdown of food occurs, whereas in anaerobic respiration, a partial breakdown of food takes place. The end product in aerobic respiration are carbon dioxide and water, whether the end products in anaerobic respiration may be ethanol and carbon dioxide or lactic acid. Aerobic respiration produces a considerable amount of energy, whereas in anaerobic respiration, much less energy is produced. So these are the differences. It is a very important question, as you know. So you can write down in your copies. So this is all about respiration. I will discuss about human respiratory system in the next video. If you want me to discuss some other topic on science, do mention in the comment section. Thank you for watching my video. See you next time.